Hello again, this is my second YouTube video and I am going to just talk a bit about this pregnancy. I said before in my previous video, I'm 39 weeks pregnant today with my fifth baby, and it's actually been maybe the best pregnancy so far. Which I've really needed it to be, because studying full time, if I would have been really ill like I was my second pregnancy with Hannah, I just wouldn't be able to cope. In fact, they've all been quite difficult pregnancies, except for the baby that we lost, Jessie, which was an amazing pregnancy, and she was just lovely to carry. And so just running through them, my first pregnancy, that's 6 years ago. Started 7 years ago, nearly 7, and that was a very surprise pregnancy. And I had just 2 days before I found out I was pregnant, I just signed up to do an Open University course that year. So when I found out, I was like, oh my goodness, worst timing. And it was a real shock as well. It was really, really shocking. And I just cried and freaked out basically the whole time, thinking, oh, I'm not going to make a good mum. I don't really want to do this. I don't want to be a mum. I don't know if I can be a mum. And it just wasn't in my plan at all. So it was quite a traumatic 9 months. I was quite sick, not terribly sick, but quite sick. And I got very sick in my third trimester. So the first trimester was medium, second trimester was fine, and then I started to get sick in my third trimester, and I was actually throwing up quite regularly in my third trimester, and I was always hungry, and I had horrific indigestion. I just used to carry Gaviscon bottles and just knock them back all the time. It was really bad indigestion. And so I remember the last month of pregnancy, I ate one of those thin minute steaks every day with spinach for my lunch, and I just couldn't get enough calories in me. I was just starving all the time. My second pregnancy with Hannah, so that was 9 months after I'd gotten 8 or 9 months. So that Gable was just turning 9 months when I found out that we were pregnant again. And from beginning to end, that was the most hardest pregnancy. I was very, very sick. And I am not just that, but just all the symptoms in the book times a million. One of the hardest ones was insomnia, severe insomnia. So from the very beginning, for the first 5 months, basically, I slept 2 hours a night. So I would go to sleep absolutely fine. Obviously, I would be completely exhausted. And then 2 hours later, I'd be wide awake. And that was it. I had pulse racing, I used to have hot flushes, I used to feel just totally hyper, and my hormones were I just think that Hannah's hormones and my hormones were just completely incompatible, and it just caused this weird imbalance. So I couldn't survive on 2 hours sleep. I was starting to go a bit crazy, and then all of a sudden at 5 months it just switched, and I slept normally again. But that had kind of done a lot of damage, because I'd only just been pregnant 9 months before. I was still breastfeeding and not sleeping, and I was just really moody all the time. I had hormonal, I was just so ratty, moody, irritable, and I just wasn't having a good time at all. It was just really difficult. And when she came out, it was just such a relief. And I had just other things as well going on, really bad allergies and hay fever, and they just ramped up to 100%. And so then Hannah was born, and it was great. She was like a little angel baby, so it made up a little bit for all that. She just slept and slept and slept. First 3 months she slept about 21 hours a day. I used to have to wake her up for every feed. She was just so sleepy. And then suddenly 3 months she decided, well, I've had a lot of sleep now, I don't want any sleep. So then she switched, and it was very difficult, and I think she was the hardest sleeper to get into a routine and get sleeping through the night. I think it was 15 months, I think, before she slept through the night. And then my third pregnancy, Abigail, again, Hannah was like 8 and 9 months old, and then I found out I was pregnant again. And Abigail's pregnancy, it wasn't so much the pregnancy symptoms, but what happened was I got a virus. I got like a cold. It was quite a heavy cold, turned into a chest infection, and that was my first infection of many. I just had back to back. So I think that was at 3 months, and I just had back to back illness until I delivered her. My immune system couldn't recover from it, so I ended up having like 3 chest infections. One of them was really severe, where I was coughing up blood. Had to go on antibiotics for that, and then I had like very bad ear infection, 2 bad ear infections, 3 stomach bugs, really bad ones, a really bad sinus infections. Again, needed antibiotics. I think I was on antibiotics like 3 or 4 times, and I actually did get the flu as well, so full blown flu for about a month. So I didn't notice that many pregnancy symptoms, but that it just pregnancy suppresses your immune system. So I noticed that that's what happened, and I just couldn't catch up. I couldn't get better again, and I think I'd got a cold like a couple of days before I delivered her, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to give her a cold like straight away, newborn and everything. So that was that pregnancy, and then Jessie, it was a bigger age gap. I think Abigail was a 1.5 years old when I got pregnant, just under, and that was amazing, that pregnancy. And I knew I was pregnant before I took a test. She was planned, and I just like sensed her little spirit straight away, and she was such a blessing. She was just gave me this amazing peace and calm. I just felt so calm. I virtually no more morning sickness, and just my hormones were so stable. I just felt like really at peace and calm. And then actually when she passed away, I think I knew subconsciously, but I didn't know that I knew, because it was very difficult to tell from her movements. She didn't really move that much, so I didn't know she passed away, but I think I did know, because when she passed away, that day I remember feeling just this awful dark cloud come over me, and that was weird because I'd been so happy and positive and peaceful, and I felt really negative and then angry, and I just kept getting angry and angrier. And I remember even on the day when I found out I went for the scan, wasn't expecting it at all. We'd been told there were some issues, but it wasn't made clear to us that she would die. Well, obviously they didn't know, but it wasn't made clear that she would die. Yeah, I just remember just being in this absolutely dark place. So when I found out, it was just absolutely just hell. And yeah, so really that was actually a beautiful pregnancy. It obviously stopped at I delivered her 23+6, well, 2 hours before midnight. So if she had been delivered 2 hours later, she would have actually had rights to having a death certificate, I think, and she would be seen as a proper person. But because she was under 24 weeks, it was just a late miscarriage, and yeah, not really seen as anything. I mean, even in this pregnancy, I'm seen as not 4 babies previously, I'm seen as 3+1. So it's quite upsetting when I found that out, because to me she was, and she will always be a massive part of my life, very special. I absolutely treasure her, and I can't wait to see you, Jessie. So this pregnancy, again planned. I decided to give my body like 3 months to recover from the ordeal of like obviously being pregnant and going through labour. And I mean, my first thought was, and then it's not everybody's first thought, but my first thought the minute I delivered Jessie was, I just have to be pregnant again now, right now. And that was how I was coping with the grief. Like, obviously, that wasn't that wouldn't have been the best scenario. That wouldn't have been good, to get pregnant immediately. But that was in my head. It was just like, that was the only thing that was keeping me going. But going to counselling and things have really helped me. So bereavement counselling has really helped me understand a bit about the grieving process and understand myself and how I'm acting and reacting in this journey of grieving Jessie. So then I got pregnant September last year, and it has been okay. It hasn't been terrible. I haven't had any problems like the insomnia. I haven't had that. I haven't had much sickness, and very strangely, I've had no appetite hardly this pregnancy. Like, I have to push myself to eat. Like, obviously there's some things I really want to eat, like carrot cake, which I have been eating a lot of carrot cake recently, and Paul keeps buying these carrot cakes. They're not that big, so they're about, it's one of those ones, that cup of size, and I don't even slice it up. I just get my spoon and then I just eat it all in, well, a lot of the times all in one go, which is really bad, but it's like the one thing that gives me an appetite, whereas most other foods just like, ugh. I just want to eat light foods, and every time if I try and eat a big meal, it's like, I feel so sick, because of that, I've only gained a stone this pregnancy, whereas I think I doubled that with all the other pregnancies. So that's been okay. That means I haven't had as much carpal tunnel, because I haven't gained that weight and then the water weight, especially where it's pressed on my nerves. And with Hannah and Abigail's pregnancy, I had to wear splints at night, and I couldn't, even with the splints, I wouldn't be able to, I'd wake up to go to the toilet, but I wouldn't be able to move for a while with my hands to open the bathroom door. It'd be like, that's all I could do. And then I'd be shaking my hands, bashing them until I could then move. And it was really painful as well. But I haven't had very much carpal tunnel this time. So I don't know if that's to do with, I don't know, maybe I haven't just gained water retention this time. But I mean, I have, but just not as much. Obviously, I'm not wearing my wedding ring. This is just a dress ring. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to fit into my wedding ring at the moment. So I have to wait till afterwards. And yeah, it's a little girl, and just really excited for her to come. And yeah, getting prepared, hopefully having a home birth. You never know. So I'm not like holding on to it with all my might. I'm just saying, okay, that's my plan. I'd really like that. But if it doesn't work out, I'm not gonna get really upset. But I've always wanted a home birth, and I've never had one. So, and this will be our last baby, I think. Well, yeah, it should be, because we can't cope with any more children. So, and even now we're like, oh my goodness, we can't cope with 3 now, and we're actually just about to have a 4th. So I think this should be, like, sensibly and wisdom speaking, we should leave this as our last baby. So so I'll just quickly show you my bump, which I hardly ever, I'm not one of those people that show off bumps very much or post bump pictures, but here is my bump. So there it is. So 39 weeks. So it's apparently this, I had a scan at 36 weeks, which I've never had before. I've never had a late scan, and that showed that she was 7.5 pounds at 36 weeks. I mean, I know these scans can be quite off with their calculations, but I hope so, because if I go to 42 weeks or 43 weeks like I went with Abigail, then their baby will be like 10 pounds. So I'm really hoping that wasn't true. I've never had 8.8 was my biggest, and then Hannah and Abigail were both 7.14. So not giant babies, just like more average. Yeah, so wow, this video is really long, so I'm going to stop this now, and thank you for listening. Take care, bye.